from my life choices, the word there is choice, right? Like what is exactly choice? बहुत भारी word है. So we all think that we make our choices ourselves, right? We all think we are making our choices actively every day. But I'm going to prove to you today that choice is the most seductive lie in the history of modern capitalism. Okay, so let's see. Okay, so imagine a world where we don't have to make any choices. Okay, so you wake up in the morning, somebody's picked out your clothes for you, somebody's decided what you eat, somebody's decided what to watch on Netflix, so you don't need to scroll endlessly. Somebody has decided what you order on Swiggy. So now the issue is, we already live in this kind of a world. Right? We already live in a world where our choices are already made for us. Now in our minds, all of us think that hum bahut smart hai, everything is good, right? These kind of things don't work on me. But let's unwrap it one by one and see how all of these choices are subconsciously made for us. And somebody very, very smart, somebody unlike me, is sitting on top and making sure that you hit the right buttons, that you pick up those exact things when you're at the supermarket. So that's what, like you can see Google and you can see that everything is just basic conditioning. It's priming, it's framing. Everything is being fed into your brain. And when you feel you've actively made a choice, okay, I decided I'm going to wear this shirt today. No, you were already primed to make that decision. It's not only what you buy, it's also where you sit, it's also what you eat, it's also who you marry. All of those choices are preconditioned for you. So what we're going to do today, we're going to do like simple 3 experiments, right? And at the end of these 3 experiments, I'm going to conclusively prove to all of you that all of your choices were being made by somebody else, okay? So game, let's go for it. Why am I the right person to kind of talk about this, right? So a decade of being at Amazon, Agio, Diesel, many of those brands, where a part of my job, a big part of my job was to nudge people and make sure, especially very rich people, that rich people buy expensive things. That was a part of my job. So my day job was just to wake up in the morning and ensure that I was nudging them towards a certain decision. If you can see that picture, that person in the tie is me when I was slightly more regular at the gym. After that, I went into a rabbit hole, right? As we all do, right? Like 3 a.m. you go into a rabbit hole. Like, okay, let me understand. Ye choices kar kaun raha hai? Who's exactly doing it? And what I realized, right? Even after having employed many of these tricks, techniques every day in my day job, सबसे ज़्यादा trick मैं हो रहा हूँ. Right? I'm getting trapped every day by some marketer who's ensuring that I open my wallet and I give him my money. So let's look at this, right? Familiar interface, we see it multiple times a day. When I go home, so this is near my house in Bangalore, right? So this is what I see whenever I open Swiggy. I see 452 restaurants which are delivering to my house. There are 45,000 dishes which I have to choose from. 45,000. Have you ever thought about it? Right? 45,000 dishes which I have to choose from. What do I do? Right? Like, do I go for the wok? Do I go for the thin crust pizza? Do I go for the zinger? Or do I order a bowl? What should I do? So I spent 45 minutes doing that, as all of us do. Yes? Okay. So 45 minutes we spent doing that. और end में होता क्या है? So for me it's Meghna biryani, right? Okay, Meghna biryani fans, give me a cheer. Okay. So I order Meghna biryani thrice a week. And I always think, यार इस बार कुछ अच्छा order करूँगा, I'll order something nice, I'll order Thai, I'll order something which makes me feel fancy. But I still order Meghna biryani thrice a week, right? And all of us do that. So let's do the first experiment, okay? All of us, just take out your phones, okay, for a second. So open Swiggy or Zomato, okay? So I'll show you, I'll make a couple of predictions on what you're seeing on your screen, okay? Just look at your order history, don't start ordering, please. So this is 3 of my predictions. Out of your last 5 orders, at least 2 of them were from the same restaurant. Yes? Okay. Second prediction. Last time you ordered, you spent more than 15 minutes deciding, or aapne bhi biryani manga li. Yes? Okay, great. Now the third one is, the last 5 orders, 3 of them would be from the same restaurant. You can go back home and you can look at your order history, and I'm going to willingly, conclusively tell you, yeah, this is what all of us do. We all end up reverting to the same choices, right? So what does Swiggy do, right? How is Swiggy enabling this? What Swiggy does is, Swiggy wants to nudge you in a certain direction. So what do we see? We see something called a spotlight. We see something called bestsellers. We see something called popular in your area, recently ordered, best, whatever, right? All of these tags, what are they meant to do? Are they meant to make you choose? Or are they meant to nudge you in a certain direction? And that's how Swiggy is ensuring they play with your choices every day and you have one more plate of Meghna biryani. So that's what Swiggy does, right? Now let's look at the second experiment. Now this is something more common that we all see, right? Always. So let's choose between two OTT apps. Okay, all of us have OTT apps on our phones. Yes. Okay, great. So the first one has a 95% customer satisfaction rate. Unlimited movies, TV shows, award-winning originals, ad-free experience. That's the first one. Sounds like a good app, yes? Okay. Now the second one is slightly different. 5% of users complain about issues. There's limited movie selection compared to competition. There's some shows which are overrated. There's a higher subscription cost. Okay, between OTT 1 and OTT 2, I showed you 2 slides. Which is the one that you will choose? 1? How many of you will choose 2? Okay, fine. They are both the same app. And that's what the choice is. They're exactly the same app, which means if you have a 95 success rate in customer satisfaction, which means at any given point in time, 5% of your customers hate your app. They have fundamental choices. But it's about how we present information. It's about how we talk to the customer, which helps them, enables them to make the choice. Yaar, meko lag raha hai, I'm making a great choice. This has better selection. You're still going to watch Friends, yaar. You're still going to watch Big Bang Theory, right? Or whatever is probably more popular with you folks, probably some vampire romance. Okay, sorry. So it is the same app. It's how you frame the choices, which gives us the impression that we are the ones making the choice, and it's not anybody else, right? Or wo jhoot hai. So what is it exactly? Now, what's the theory, right? Like, take liberty from professor. What's the theory behind it? It's called choice architecture. The way information or the way choices are presented to you are very, very important, and they nudge you in a certain direction. And this is not about ordering food. It's not about choosing an OTT app. We make hundreds and thousands of micro decisions every day. This could be about deciding what to wear, what shoes. It could be choosing a career. It could be choosing a partner. It could be anything, like any consequential decision. We're making hundreds of them. And somebody very smart is ensuring that you are swayed swiftly, subtly, in a certain direction, right? So that's what choice architecture is. Now let's look at this. What do you think this is? Okay, so this is like this is like seating map, okay, for say an auditorium like this. Let me tell you that the first decision you made at about 9:30 when all of you walked in was कि बैठना किधर है, right? All of us made that decision. So it's a very simple decision. Now we would feel that something like this is automated. Who's going to think about where to sit there? But yes, all humans make the exact same decisions in the exact same way. And there's research to back this up, which means, okay, this is not me saying, this is what research says. Okay, so paper dekh lena uska, right? It's not me. So people who sit at the aisles, who sit at the edges, at the extremes, these people want a quick exit. Which means these are people who have commitment issues in life. Okay? Now people in the middle, now these are people who are slightly less interesting, which means they don't want to be at the extremes. They want to be slightly safe, theek hai, beech mein baith gaye, sat with a friend, sense of comfort which comes along with it. This is technically called social herding, which means agar elevator bhi ho, so you'll stand in the middle even if it's empty. Right? So those are the people. Those are the people who stand in the middle. Now people at the front row. Now people at the front row is a very different ball game because nobody wants to sit in the front row. Right? Intentionally to koi nahi chahta front row mein baith rahe, right? Because we don't like being on display. So when it's a classroom, we don't want to sit on the first bench. So we want to sit. Second row is fine. Third row is fine. Subconsciously, this choice is made in your head without you knowing about it. Right? But when you go to a concert, you want to be in the first row. Right? So this is what all of us do. And we do it so subconsciously. And we think ये choice नहीं किया है, बैठ गए बस इसमें कौन सोचता है. But there's research to back it up. That your personality, in the way where you're sitting today, tells you a lot about your personality. Netflix? Yeah. So, okay, I'm going to take the liberty of thinking people watch Stranger Things. Is Stranger Things cool now? It is? Nahi? Okay, thank you for that encouragement. I feel validated. So do you know that Netflix serves different thumbnails for the same exact show to different people? Yeah, this is also how they influence choice, which means if you're somebody who has watched a lot of romance, right, on Netflix, which means you're into mushy titles, you love Bridget Jones and stuff like that, so you will see a guy and a girl on the thumbnail. Now, for most people, I want to be politically correct, that is the idea of romance. Okay, so you will see that. But if you're somebody who sees a lot of action, you will see an explosion on the thumbnail. And that's how Netflix ensures that you feel a sense of anticipation, a sense of expected reward when you're clicking that thumbnail and going into the title, right? To see, is this something which aligns with me, right? So that's how Netflix is playing with your choices. Zomato Gold, most of us are customers, right? So we'll feel whenever we've got a great deal on something that, yeah, I have ripped them off. I have got a great deal. I got 1+1 dish or whatever, right? I got like 50% off on my dining or something like that. Now the thing is, Netflix did this, and Zomato Gold is also doing something very clever, which is what? They want you to go to those stores or those restaurants which have low traffic. And you feel, I have to pull one on the system. Like, I've got a deal which I don't want to tell anybody about, I want to gatekeep this. But they directed you subconsciously to those low traffic restaurants at low traffic times. And you feel that you've got a deal. So that's also how Zomato is nudging your choices. So your free will nahi hai. Okay, let's just keep it. There is nothing called free will in modern consumerism. If you go deep enough into any decision that you have made from the beginning of today, from the time when you woke up, go through every micro decision, and if you go deep enough, you will find that somebody has influenced it. It might be your childhood conditioning, where you grew up, the ads that you saw on the way, somebody in a ponytail telling you something. So it could be anything, right? So yeah, let's do experiment 3, right? This is interesting. So there are 2 universities, since we are at a university. The first university has a 98% placement rate. Balle balle, all good, right? It has high-paying corporate recruiters, and University B has slightly more creative freedom, right? Which is that they have startup incubators and they have students who follow rather unconventional paths. Now, which is a better university, A or B? A? See, how do you make that choice? What is the right answer? There is no right answer. Now, I'll tell you the issue. So I'm not going to like try and give an answer of which one is a better university. Both of them are great. It depends where you are in your life. But the problem is this. The problem is the deluge of information for somebody sitting in Ratnagiri, for somebody sitting in Darbhanga district, somebody who's impressionable, who hasn't made a choice, is being advertised and being said, okay, top 10% average salary, top ranked in student satisfaction. Now, who's taken that survey? You don't know anything. So a lot of times there's irresponsible marketing which sways vulnerable and impressionable kids into making choices which define the trajectory of their life, sometimes not so favorably. So it's the exact same psychology, right? So everything that we do, there are 3 things which I want all of you to take back today, right? TFD, 3 letters. Trigger, funnel, default. Okay, we'll talk about it. It's not about making a good choice or the bad choice, right? Like, it's not about, okay, what is good for us or what is bad for us. Did we end up doing what was right or what was wrong? It's about realizing, okay, what we are doing is actually being orchestrated by somebody else, and being aware sets you apart. So yeah, so this is like a chain reaction. I'll tell you, if you watch one productivity video on YouTube, immediately what does the algorithm do? It will start hitting you left, right, and center with all videos on 5 a.m. morning routines, on Sigma grind set, cold. There's just one choice, like one click, choosing one video, like one choice you made on YouTube, gave them license to feed you so much content. It could be anything, right? Like, so in this case, it was productivity. So something decently good, right? Something irritating but good that got served to you. But this could have also been something which spreads hate. This could be something which spreads fear. This could be something which spreads misinformation. It could be something which spreads propaganda. Which means if you make one choice on YouTube, it defines, and that diet of content which you have chosen is what forms your identity. Because we are a function of the ideas that we fill in our heads. And if those choices are being made by somebody else, by an algorithm, by a platform, then they are defining your identity one click at a time. So that's where we are. Like, just look at our lives. Like, just look at the entire world like one big giant magic pinball machine, right? Which means that they are marbles in this giant machine. Each of them are choices. But what you need to understand is not where the marbles are going, but that the machine itself is rigged. Somebody is defining the paths. And when somebody is defining the paths, they're also defining everything else that you do. So 3 questions, like how do we use all of this? Now, samajh aa gaya ki theek hai, we are not making our choices. There's an illusion of choice. There's a paradox of choice, and that's what psychologically happens. I want you to do 3 things. Let's go back to TFD, right? Just ask yourself these 3 questions. Trigger, spot the trigger. What is the emotion they want me to feel? Very important. Before you make any major life decision, before you make any big choice, what is the emotion they want me to feel? Second is funnel. Spot the funnel. What is the decision they want me to take next? What do they want me to take next? Open my wallet, subscribe to your newsletter, order a biryani. That's what you need to fundamentally understand. And the third is default. This is where you look inwards and say, okay, what are my subconscious bias? Do I hate people like this? Do I love content like that? Do I like food like this, right? So those are your default choices. What is already pre-selected? I don't want insurance. I'm just booking an airline ticket. But why is insurance pre-selected? What are they trying to tell me? What are they trying to get me to do? So if you're aware of trigger, function, and default, you will make much smarter choices in life. And that's what it's all about. Because you don't need 452 restaurants. You don't need 100 career choices. And you don't need to break your head trying to find your partner. What is important is for you to understand 3 things. You need to have the wisdom to choose. You need to have the courage to choose quickly. And you need to have the grace to stick with the choice that you've eventually chosen actively. So yeah, that's what it's all about. I think in the world today, we are presented with a buffet of options, right? There's so much in front of us. It's our responsibility to look under the curtain and see what's on the menu, who's setting the menu. Because at the end of the day, our paths in life are scripted to a certain extent, but where does the true power lie? The true power lies in exercising your free will. And your ability to exercise your free will rests with you. And when you do it, or whether you not do it, that's your choice. So that's my time. Thank you so much.